that God has provided for every need you could possibly have through an earthly family.
I kind of knew it was confirmation. I must be going in the correct footsteps. I must be following.
Understand why.
We are live, ready to go. Brother Larry, it's good to have you here
All
on
right.
Advent Media Connect. Could you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay, man.
Okay. For those of us that are watching right now, make sure you confirm the audio. Is it coming through okay on your end as well? Confirm that for us so that we get into this video. Brother Larry, it's good to have you, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing fantastic by God's grace. I'm just getting ready for this evening's program as well.
Oh, boy.
At the same time, Pastor Skeet is in the neighborhood.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I gotta go see my boy.
My man.
That's my man right there.
So he's preaching at a local church?
Yeah. He's gonna be preaching tonight and tomorrow, God's willing. But tonight, I got MC Ministry podcast coming on tonight, so I won't be able to join him tonight. But by God's grace, tomorrow we'll be there.
Yeah, Mark Carmel Ministry has been a blessing. Even in my local church in Reading, Pennsylvania, there are a number of our members who are like, what? You were on Mark Carmel Ministry? These are my guys. I'm like, I didn't know about Mark Carmel. They're like, oh, we do. We've been watching them for years. I'm like, wow.
Oh, wow. Well, praise the Lord.
Yeah,
Praise the
so,
Lord. Yeah, we have some long-time people that's been with us since we were on, what was that? Google something. It was not even, it was
Google Hangout, right?
Google Hangouts, yeah.
Oh my goodness, they don't even have that anymore. They have Google Meet now. Yeah.
Yeah, Google Meet, yeah, but we were on Hangouts back then, and YouTube was still kind of like formulating. I think Google had bought YouTube about 3 or 4 years prior to that.
Wow.
And Twitter had bought Periscope because we were on Periscope as well. So yeah.
Oh,
we just
Periscope.
kinda-
Oh man,
kinda traveled with the waves.
So much have changed. Oh my Lord,
Yeah.
so much have changed, even in the different platforms and the live streams and everything else with that. So yeah. It's amazing. Well, let me share my screen with you because I'm gonna start off with something you've shared. So let's begin with what
Okay.
you've shared. You guys were talking with was it Pastor? Oh my goodness, let me pull that up. I think I just had it earlier.
Was it green?
Yeah, you were. I think I was on your channel, and there you are. There you go. All right. So it was that Friday night. You came out with a T-shirt, and,
Oh,
and at first I was like, oh no, he didn't. They're gonna kill him. And then you turned around, and I'm like, oh, look what he just did. That was a good
yeah.
one.
That was to cause all kinds of that. That's a disruptive thing,
Mhm.
and I like to disrupt. I really like to disrupt. Seriously, I do. I want to trigger people, but the right way.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
To get, I want to get a reaction from you,
Mhm.
and then I want to surprise you with something else, because my whole point is to find creative ways to spread the gospel. That's what it is. It's just a creative way to spread the gospel. People are so, I'm gonna put it like this, magnetized. Okay, they are so magnetized that
Magnetized.
they just kind of like that 4-letter word is like a curse word to many and hope to others, right? But you have that, and all of a sudden you kind of get these looks. It's either strange looks, or people are like giving you thumbs up, or because they don't know. It just says I'm with MAGA, but until you read the back of the shirt, then it's like, okay, I see what this guy's going.
Yeah, so let me quickly play that video so that people can see what we're talking about here.
It says I'm with MAGA. This is a prototype shirt that we're going with. We're starting a whole new movement. All right. Now I want you guys to be a part of this movement. All right. So my shirt says I'm with MAGA. Now, for those of you that might see MAGA, some of you guys might get upset or triggered. That's the whole point of it. I want to trigger you because I'm here to make Adventists great again. Amen.
That was so good. That was proud. That was
Oh, man.
spot on. I love it.
Hey,
I love it. And I'm hoping
so
I'm hoping in our
I
live
give you
stream today, this will be the same agenda, right?
yeah,
We hope of making Adventist great again. Although we will touch
yeah,
on politics, we can have our political views, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't condemn political views, but I think ultimately, as long as we stay within the line of Scripture, we are safe. So
yeah.
I'm
What I
hoping
like
that's
for
what
you
we
to
could do
do,
today. Go ahead.
what I'd like for you to do is ask any one of your followers, anyone who's looking live right now, if
Yeah.
they would like to get a T-shirt. That's
Hey,
the whole
guys,
point is
you want to get one of those T-shirts? Mark Combo Ministry is the way to go. I'll just send me a link, and then I'll put it in the chat for you. Or you can put it directly in the chat yourself, because you can see the
oh,
live
okay.
stream. So you just put it in the chat for anybody who want to get that. You want to do it. If you're gonna get a T-shirt, do it before Sabbath. So
Yes. But just give me
yeah,
your name because
I will honestly
we
get
have
one.
to we have to we
Yeah,
have to make them. So
yeah.
we don't have a whole lot, and that's a prototype.
Mm-hmm,
We're
mm-hmm.
we're gonna start making the official shirts.
All
So if I
right, I
get
love
some
that.
like pre-orders or whatever have you, we have to pre-order. We'll start getting them out to those
I
who pre-ordered them.
I just love the idea. I just love the idea behind that.
Quick
So
quick story, Pastor. So quick
go
story.
ahead, go
So
ahead, go ahead.
that night, right? That's the Friday that we went to that camp meeting
Mm-hmm.
at Advent Age. That night, so I get to the hotel and I
Mm.
have the shirt on, of course, right? And I'm speaking to the front desk, clerk at the hotel, and she's looking at me really weird, right? So she's a Caucasian lady, and she's looking at me kind of strange. And then there's another black lady that's like right next to me, and she looks at my shirt, and of course, both of them are like, you can tell they're the two different sides, right? One is like, okay, I see who he's with, and the other lady's looking at me kind of strange. So I didn't say anything. I'm just watching their reaction, and I'm observing, how they're, relating to me with this T-shirt on, and because it says I'm with MAGA, so of course they thinking Donald Trump, right? They're thinking, Donald Trump, Republican Party type thing. So I didn't say anything much about it. After a while, the lady who's the clerk, she walks around and she sees the back of my shirt, and she's like, "Oh, okay, I see. Oh, what's an Adventist? What's Adventist? What
Gotcha.
was that?" Boom. Yeah, now you got me. Now we're gonna. That's exactly what this is for. So right, she's like,
Exactly.
"What's that?" Yeah, so I just went right into it. I just
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
Seventh Adventist Church is we believe in the second coming, the second advent coming of Jesus Christ,
Mm-hmm.
and the word seventh day is that we rest on the seventh day because of the seventh day Sabbath that God has given to us, and that was it.
That's it.
That was it.
Wow. It's just a
Yeah,
good conversation starter. It really
yeah.
sets the stage for you to preach. I mean, I carry this one, be strong in the Lord. I have one about the Sabbath. I say Christ for the
Mm,
crisis. I've been stopped just being asked about my shirt. And it was an
yeah.
opportunity to share the gospel. I was able to give tracks and get their number for Bible studies. I mean, it's amazing what happens with just a T-shirt, man. You can get a
You
lot
become a
of
walking
attention.
you become a walking ministry is what
Yeah,
I call it.
yeah. It's very, very good. Very, very powerful. So anybody want to support Brother Larry and his ministry? So there goes one way to do that. So yeah, so that's the first thing I have on my list. We're gonna work past that. So having said this, you and I both know Trump won the presidency. I mean, the world know, so it's not a new thing. And some of the reaction from some people is like the end of the world, right? Oh my
Hmm.
Lord, I can't believe this. This means the world is going to end. This is the end of democracy and all of that. And I want to play this video from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and listen to her remark of Trump's winning the presidency. And I would like to hear from you what you think about that. Do you believe what she's saying is true? If not, I just at least want to get your perspective. Anyway, let's take
For
a
sure.
listen to this. Mhm.
We are about to enter a political period that will have consequences for the rest of our lives. We cannot give up. We now find ourselves in a time in history that has precedent, and we find ourselves, I believe, in a time where there are, let's say, peers in history of mass movements of people that mobilize to protect one another in times of fascism and authoritarianism. And this is the era that we are poised to enter. Donald Trump has talked about turning the military on U.S. citizens that he deems his domestic political enemies. Authoritarians and people that he affiliates closely with and strongmen abroad, in regimes like that, it is not uncommon to jail political dissidents or legislative opponents. This is the world that we very realistically may be entering.
So are you of the same conviction that Trump's presidency might mean the end of democracy at the start of fascism?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And there's a reason why.
Okay.
There's a reason why I'm going to say this. So everything that, you know, when we start getting into this Orwellian system that we're in right now, you know, the one thing that we have to understand that shifts what shifts the balance, right, is messaging. That's what shifts everything, right? Communication, messaging, and what they are calling now, you know, you have misinformation and disinformation and malinformation. You got all of that, but that all comes in messaging. One thing, if there is, and you know that she is what they call a social democrat, right? Or democratic socialist. That's what she is.
Correct.
So one thing about socialism and communism is to project, deflect, and reflect, right? So I'm going to project what I do onto you, and I'm going to deflect anything that comes back to me that you're doing. Does that make sense already? Am I with you?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we have project and deflect, and then I'm going to reflect everything that you're doing, that you're trying to do that's right. I'm going to reflect that on myself. Okay. So what she is doing is exactly that. When we had the pandemic, when we were in the pandemic, you had those who the word was the suffix that everybody had was denier, right? So you are vax denier, or you are anti-vax. You are climate denier, right? Or anti-climate, right? If you stood firm on your belief, then you become a denier, right? When you know Trump ran the second time in 2020 when he ran to ran for his incumbency, the first thing that they said was when they said he lost quotes, that you were a election denier, okay? And by doing that, by deeming you a denier, that means that you are spreading false information, and that we have shut you down. We have canceled you because you're spreading lies, right? So today, when you see what's happening now, okay, so the tables have turned. The Republicans have won the presidency, the Senate, and the House. The first thing they have to do is get ahead and to let people know that you have fascism, you have racism, you have misogyny or misogynism. You've got all the isms and schisms that's going to happen because of this particular person that has, Donald Trump, that has won the presidency. The thing is that everything that she just finished talking about is exactly what they're doing. And they're still doing it. By what she's doing, she's letting you know that you cannot speak against us. You cannot, it's either you're with us or you're not. And if you're not, then this is exactly what's going to happen to you. When you look at it from a religious standpoint, well, this is just the mirror that we have to look into and go, okay, well, if we flip it and remove Donald Trump, remove all the politics, then what does that do for a Sabbath keeper? How does that look for a Sabbath keeper, right? So everything she said, and I just took some things down, I kind of tried to write some things down, but she is clearly stating that we are in a time, and she double speaks because she says that we're in a time that we are going into that is going to be a fascist, misogynist, racist, and we're in this period of time that we have to deal with that. Now, she says we cannot stop fighting. Okay, we cannot stop fighting. So in other words, what she's really stating is that with every beat of their heart, they're going, because he's a fascist, whatever that fight is, they have to stop him. They're gonna have to try to stop him. So that's what just continues a divide. And as we continue our conversation, we will share with each other the things that they're doing to divide. And that's the biggest part now. The biggest part now is a division of all sorts.
Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. So you touch on the projection aspect of it. You touch on the idea that, well, by projection, what you're saying is the very thing that the left-wing ideology is seeking to promote, they are blaming the right side of doing. So if I were to go back a little bit, during the first 4 years of Trump presidency, do you remember anything that will denote to you that Trump was in any way a fascist?
No. The way, and this is exactly what people miss out on. So let's go backwards in time. So in 2020, we had the pandemic. The left was asking him to make sure he passed mandates that will force everyone to take a vaccination. Okay? That's what they wanted, a federal mandate.
Correct.
That will force everyone to take the vaccine.
Correct.
If he had done that, then that will be fascism
In practice.
in its definition. In practice, correct. But he decided, no, that's not the way to go. I'm going to leave that to the governors. Let each governor in their state mandate what they want to do in their state. Okay? Now the left realized there are red states and there are blue states. They can't control the red states, but they can control the blue states. You see? And by Trump doing that, he knew that, most red states would not allow it, and maybe some blue states may or may not allow it. But the point is that the state has the power to make that choice on whether its citizens of that state would have to take the jab. So that's one of the ways that he moved away from being a dictatorial leader, because that's what you call, that's the definition of fascism if he had taken that, right? 2019, when he was moving forward in terms of making sure that there was a big flood coming in terms of immigration and things of that nature, he did sign an executive order. Now, they didn't make any law that no one can come in. He signed an executive order, okay? The difference with the executive order is this. If I'm president number one and I sign an executive order, my executive order only lasts as long as I'm president. When you become president, you can come in and with your pen, erase my executive order and write your own executive order. An executive order is not law. So in anything, in any given thing, A president can write, can sign a bunch of executive orders, but it is not law. It is not him stating that he is a dictator. It is him saying, "Hey, for the next 4 years, this is what I deem to be an executive order from my chair." Right? And oh, by the way, executive orders can get struck down by the Supreme Court. Okay? An executive order just recently was signed by Joe Biden to give amnesty to illegal immigrants who are married to citizens. It had to get to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says absolutely not. So executive orders can get struck down. So this nation that we live in has three branches, right, that we all have to deal with. The president is not arbitrarily on his own. He's 1/3 of a pie.
Wow.
He has to get 3/3 of the pie in order for him to have strong enough movement on an agenda. But by himself, he can't do anything. He cannot be a dictator by himself.
Correct.
So that's what it's called. That's exactly what it's called, the balance of power.
Yeah, checks and balances. And there is the House, there's the Senate, and there's Congress.
Yeah.
So it's not as simple as some people think. Yeah.
That's exactly what you're saying. There's House, and then there's the Senate, right? Our House of Representatives, and the Senate, and then we also have the third level, the third branch, which is the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court.
Correct.
So he cannot get past not one of them, without any one of them checking and balancing, right?
Correct.
So yeah, you may see that in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, he wanted to build a wall. Did he finish the wall? No.
He could not.
Why not? Because
there were orders standing in the way.
There you go. In the Senate and in the Congress.
Correct. Wow. All right. Thank you. I mean, I think very few Seventh-day Adventists I've listened to has been able to balance this the way you're balancing it. And yet, it's just, these are the facts. And people can have their political leaning all they want, but these are the facts. And I appreciate the fact you're sharing it. This channel, Advent Media Connect, has Adventists in here. We have some MAGA who joined us recently. We have some of the left-wing side of the thing. We even have some Love Reality followers. And we have some anti-Trinitarians as well. So we have a mixed crowd.
What's Love Reality?
Oh boy. Don't make me go there.
Okay, we'll talk about it later.
The Love Reality concept, there's a video on my channel. You can type Love Reality, it will come up.
Okay.
Is the whole idea that there's a heavy emphasis on God's love and little emphasis on God's law. Yeah, and the conference came out and denounced it several times, but we do have some people who do support the channel here who are still part of that movement, which we don't ostracize anybody. So
Sure.
I'm gonna bring something here now. Let me pull the clip. So this is coming from, I'm sure you know Pastor Jamal Bryant. How could you not, right? It's the question. Well, Pastor Jamal Bryant have a video that I thought was very, very crucial. So let me make sure I bring that to the channel, and I'm gonna share this with you to see where you stand when it comes to that. So he has some very, very strong words for people who voted for, Biden. I mean, for Trump. So, all right, let me pull that up. I have to have it on a different channel. Sometimes I save these clips in different channels and everything, and then use them as I need to. Okay, so there it is. So Pastor Jamal Bryant certainly has something to say to everyone who thought it was a good idea to vote for Trump. And he is very, very strong about his position. All right, let me pull that up. Yeah, so and we also gonna touch on Project 2025, kind of where your thinking is when it comes to that as well. So I'm anxious to find out more. All right, so here we are. We have it here. So Pastor Jamal Bryant has this to say to you and I. For anybody who voted for Trump, this is how he feels. There we go. All right, let's take a listen to him.
Be careful, because people will try to offer you stuff that is not commensurate to your value. They will try to give you what they themselves would never accept. They want you to accept a joke about a watermelon on a black man's head and say that they were just playing, but never any jokes about leprechauns or four-leaf clovers. They want you to accept an attempted insurrection on Capitol Hill on January 6th, but are threatening to pull out the military on those who march for Black Lives Matter. They want you to accept the dividing of families in the largest threat of deportation of immigrants, even if it divides mothers from children. And they said babies in cages will be a glorious day. They want you to believe that the smuggling of fentanyl has been from the Mexican cartel, but they will not tell you that the majority of those who have been arrested have been white males. They want you to accept that you're going to receive more money when Trump was not responsible for the stimulus check in the first place. They want you to get excited about getting a tax break, but Negro, you don't qualify. That's for folk that's making over $400,000 and you $50,000 or less, talking about make America great again. When, Negro? When was it great? They can give it, but they cannot take it. But you gotta be careful how you treat God's people, because the last will be first and the first will be last. I don't know where y'all are, but all my haters, I wanted you to know, eat the cake, anime, eat the cake. When it is that God puts his foot down, you don't know who God is gonna bless, you don't know who God is gonna restore, and you don't know who God is gonna use. In Genesis 25, Jacob said to his brother Esau, I know you are hungry, but if you give me your birthright, I'll give you Campbell's soup. And a lot of fools fell for it. A lot of people sold their self-worth and their self-esteem in this election cycle. 18 million people did not vote at all. The Latino community, even after being stereotyped as murderers and rapists and being disrespected by calling Puerto Rico floating garbage, went and voted in record numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, white women even threw their support, realizing that they would have no authority about decisions over their bodies. Contrary to what the news did in trying to separate our community, 78% of black men voted and did the right thing. The reality, what we found out this week, is that some people in America couldn't get over their own misogyny because they would rather have a clown than have a queen. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today and I want to salute and celebrate the most consistent voting bloc in America since 2016 has been black women. And black women showed America on Tuesday, I would rather starve to death than elect a fascist, racist, rapist, misogynist dictator who has no respect over my womanhood or over my community. Jesus demonstrated for us, just because you are at a disadvantage doesn't mean you should accept just anything. Even though you feel trapped doesn't mean you have to fall for a thirst trap. Do not lower your standards because somebody has a higher position. I want you to walk in every room knowing that my Father sent me here. I don't care what your degrees, I don't care your pedigree, I don't care your ethnicity, you ain't gonna talk sideways and slick to me. I am a child of God. I'm the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. I am a lender and not a borrower, and God don't play about me. Look at the person beside you, tell them I ain't letting stuff slide this time. You gonna have to come to me correct or not come at all. I demand respect for my children, for myself, and for my entire family.
All right.
Anybody who
okay.
starts pulling their
You
breath
wanna?
like that, just
I feel like I need to take a deep breath. I need to take a deep breath.
I can't do that stuff. Why they got to do that? I don't understand why they got to keep pulling cold up their chest.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard it. I don't know why they do that, but when you're talking so loud and so strong, I guess you can catch your breath. So,
yeah.
What's your thought on this? How do you feel?
So yeah. Let me go ahead and react to this because it is a poor. You know, the Bible says, "My people die for a lack of knowledge," and it is so true that there is so much, as you can clearly see. Now they talk about people spreading disinformation. Well, there's a lot of disinformation, misinformation at the same time in what he's spewing. Number one, I'm going to say this. He spoke about Latinos and whites and all of these folks that came out in droves after the fact that white women should have stuck with Kamala Harris and black women for their reproductive rights, and Latinos should have stuck to, who went and voted in a 57% clip, Latino men, 57% clip, went and voted for Donald Trump. But the question is that I keep asking myself is why? Why would these folks, why would this demographic, why would that voting bloc flip over from the Democratic side and go to Trump's side? Not even a Republican side, because many of them did not shift their political identification, right? They didn't shift their political identity. So they didn't shift from being a Democrat to a Republican. No, they just voted for Trump. Why would they do that?
It might be a good
That's the
time.
question of the day.
Well, that will require some self-examination. Because let's just say if these people are leaving and voting in the way that they are, even 20% black men are voting this way.
27%.
Oh, excuse me. That is a massive change when you're looking at it from a political perspective. We've never seen anything like that.
And what he did was, here's the misinformation. You see, what he said was the men voted at a 70%. 73% of black men voted for Kamala Harris. Well, that's a whole lot lower than what Biden got. That's a whole lot lower than what Clinton got.
Yeah.
So he did not say
I think
that.
Biden had 88%.
Correct.
Yeah.
Of the black vote, black male vote. Okay.
Correct.
So what he's not saying to people is, wait, 27% of black men voted for Trump. That's a high clip
for a Republican candidate.
Exactly.
Who is a racist and a fascist.
Who's a racist, fascist, misogynist, that guy. You know? So when you hear that, okay, so 27% of black men voted. Everybody else did not vote for the social issues that wasn't bothering them. Reproductive rights, number one, is not really reproductive rights. That's abortion. So women really figured it out. Most women figured it out. Wait, that's not bothering me. I already have kids, or I don't have kids, or I can go anywhere to get an abortion, right? So that's not an issue for me. The issue is that if I don't have money, I can't get an abortion. That's the problem. The problem is if I don't have funds in my pocket, I'm not. Now let me make this clear on this channel here. I am not supporting abortion. I'm just thinking logically. Logically speaking, women are saying, if I don't have money, I can't go and pay for an abortion. If I don't have money, I can't get reproductive rights, as what they call them, or things that I can use as birth control pills or whatever. I can't afford those things. So the problem is that the cost of everything is too high. And that's why many of them voted the way they voted. Okay? So coming back to the military going against Black Lives Matter, everything for them is about race. You have BLM, and you have Antifa, and you have many other very far left-wing groups, okay? No one's going after BLM or Antifa, because that would have been done in 2019 and 2020. Matter of fact, not 2019, but 2020, when we had the big fights and riots all over the place because of George Floyd. The George Floyd riots told everybody everything. BLM, Antifa really destroyed cities in Portland, cities in Seattle, cities in Minnesota, right? They destroyed these places. Chicago. I can keep going. Atlanta. I can keep going and going where they were doing destructive work. And not one of them, I can recall, were arrested and convicted of what they had done.
That is true.
So
there was an obvious double standard in a way that this was dealt with, comparing to the January 6 offenders. Okay, I did notice that as well. Irrespective of the way you felt about BLM, and I did believe some things were really bad during that time. But a lot of the people that were burning down buildings, while news anchors were standing there saying this is a peaceful protest, when the church behind them was on fire, I found that to be very disturbing as well. Go ahead.
Or government federal buildings was on fire. Okay?
Yeah, you're right.
They went after courthouses. They went after federal government buildings were on fire. So you didn't see anybody getting arrested. Now, to clarify what Trump said, he says if there is to be a riot on the day of the election, which thank God there wasn't much of any, okay, and also the day of the time when he's when he goes to get to what you call that, to put his hand on the Bible, inauguration, right? Put his hand on the Bible. Then he says we would need the National Guard to stand guard to make sure none of these riots are taking place. That's what he said. But of course, they took that to go, well, he's going to use the military to go after black. And it's always black people, right? The deportation from the United States. Well, if you let in 20 million, that states cannot afford financially, which is continuing to bring up inflation. And what they really want to get rid of, first of all, are those who are the court, that's those who went to court and the court says they cannot stay. They need to go back. That's 1.5 million of them. Our court system said they cannot stay here. Well, that's the first wave of deportation. That's 1.5 million. The next is those criminals that we had caught who are in prison right now. They need to go back. In any given time or any given deal, if an illegal or undocumented immigrant comes in and commits crime, on any given time, that person's deported back and no one even knows about it, okay? The other thing is funding for these immigrants. Well, we can see that the city of New York already just sent back millions of them back to Texas so they can cross back over the Rio Grande because they said they're gonna quit paying for their food and their housing. They stopped giving them funding. Well, that's a whole boatload of them that's deporting themselves right now. And this is what they're talking about. And oh, by the way, yes, we're going to go and find those guys who do not belong here. Now, there are other immigrants that are here legally that will not be touched. But the whole point is to spread fear. And that's exactly what they're doing. This is all about fear. And guess what? Jamal Bryant doesn't have anything to worry about. The man is rich.
Correct.
And 2/3 of his congregation is rich.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. For the man to say that Donald Trump is going to tax only those who are under the $400,000 mark, does that make sense?
Silly.
Very silly. So he's only cutting taxes for the rich. I don't understand how the tax code, which is an overall tax code for all of Americans, of Americans, okay? The tax code affects every
Everyone.
last one of us in America.
Correct.
Okay?
It's international.
It's it's a national code.
National code. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. If he cuts the tax, period, the rich the rich gets richer, the middle class gets more middle classier, and the poor gets a little bit more money in their pocket. It's a trickle down effect.
That makes
That's
sense.
how it works. That's how it works. So the opposite of that was, well, I'm going to raise more state taxes. I'm going to raise more property taxes. I'm also going to do something called unrealized gains taxes. I'm also going to do something called gains taxes. So basically, realized gains taxes and unrealized gains taxes. Basically, what that means is you own property and assets. You own a lot of assets, and you decide to sell half of your assets, and half of your assets is worth $3 million. Well, unrealized gains tax says, hey, before you realize it, we have taxed you because of what your property assets are worth. What? I haven't even sold. I haven't even sold them yet. They're not even sold. You already taxing me? That's exactly what unrealized gains tax is, because the word gains is there. Whatever you gain, however you gain on your assets, the assets gained is what I'm taxing. And I'm taxing it before you get your money. Now, by the time you sell that asset, I'm taxing on what you earned on that asset. So they're looking to tax everything from us. That's how they're making their money. Now, I want you to go and find out. You can go pull this up. Where did America's tax money go for the past 3.5 years? And I want you to see for yourself. Your mouth will drop to know that we were doing tests on in Brazil. Some of our tax money, millions of dollars, went to Brazil to find out about drag queens and how they feel and how their mental stability is in Brazil.
You serious?
I'm very serious. Some of our taxes went to places like in Africa, where in one country in Africa, they did a study to find out if wearing helmets and wearing a seatbelt saves lives. They spent over $500,000 of our tax money to go over there to do a test, for that. When that could have just been free. You know what? Wear your seatbelt and a helmet. It does save lives. Okay, that could have been free, but they spent I think $500,000, even more, on that from our from our tax dollars. Okay, not even in America. So when you really think about it, they're looking to tax a whole lot of money. Where does the money go? Well, get this. You see, Harpo, which is Oprah is not going to feel it when they do unrealized gains taxes, right? They're not going to feel that. You know why? Because they are protected from that. They're protected from that. The very wealthy. And if you looked at how Kamala ran her campaign, who was she tapping?
I was going to say that because that's what the video that prompted me to reach out to you, because I did a little bit of research and I found out Beyonce got paid $10 million for that 3-minute speech.
10
And Meg Stallion got paid $5 million. $5 million just to twerk on the stage.
Yes.
And I said, wait. That's all it takes to make that kind of money? I need a whole new profession. Lord have mercy.
That's why I said I'm in the wrong business here. To speak for 4 minutes and make $10 million. I looked around and I said, wait a minute. She didn't even put on a show. $10 million. So again, who is getting the benefit here? She's not dealing with the working class. She only campaigned to those who are making the money. And this is what, I'm going to tell you this. This is what Catholicism is all about.
Oh, we're going there.
Listen, bro. Catholicism, this is what it's all about. Remember, Catholicism is a social theology. This is where you get socialism from. So we talk about the poor all day long. Help the poor. We build stuff for the poor, but we break the backs of the poor because we're stealing from the poor. What's the one thing that made the Catholic Church so rich? It's called purgatory.
Indulgences,
right. Who do they get that from? Where they're pulling their money from? The poor. So these people speak about the poor all day long. We need to help the poor. We need to help those and bring them up. And oh, by the way, we need to redistribute our wealth. That's socialism. We need to give them money so that they can be on second base before they got to first.
And that's the whole, isn't that the whole idea behind DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion?
That's it. That is it. That is it. Set you up in a place where you did not work to get there. There's no merit. You have not been merited to get there. In other words, you can go to school as what in Minnesota right now, today, right now, Friday at 2:54 p.m. in the afternoon. You can go over there to school and say that you are an immigrant and you want to take college classes at the University of Minnesota. And they will get you set up to take those college classes at the University of Minnesota without paying a dime. That's what Governor Walz passed. He passed it for those immigrants to go ahead and to get free education from the universities. While my son, who's in college, in university, I have to pay an arm and a leg to make sure that he gets through.
Wow. Yeah, I can speak as well. I got a daughter in Adventist schools, colleges, and boy, we're talking about money.
But all you can do is just sigh. At this rate, what they're trying to tell you is they are gaslighting, and then they have these ministers go up on the pulpit and talk about the foolishness. Fentanyl is not coming from Mexico, so where is it coming from? Because fentanyl is grown in China. Opium is grown in Asia. And it finds its way all the way in Mexico and into America. Besides the drug dealers that we know about on our streets in America, we know them. It's almost like saying you got 12 cousins and you all have issues. You know, your cousins, most of them, 10 of them, are on the streets. Okay, out of 12 cousins, 10 of them are on the streets. But on Thanksgiving Day, everybody come together and you got some crazy uncles and some crazy aunts with those cousins. And you can deal with those cousins because you know them. But you got some new people that just moved down the street that's coming to your Thanksgiving dinner and they're just taking bread off your table without even asking you questions. You're going to be like, no, you know my crazy cousins? I know them, but I don't know you. And that's exactly what's happening right now.
Gotcha. Man, so much substance there. But I got to tell you, okay, this is the same Jamal Bryant, and I like the fact you debunked this so wonderfully, Dan. This is the same Jamal Bryant. Let me share this with you. Who said this? I'm not sure if you've ever seen this one.
I'm looking for people that smell like weed. New Birth is the largest land-owning black church in America. Wow. And so my position to my deacons is I'm looking for people that smell like weeds. No, really, is New Birth is the largest land-owning black church in America. Wow. And so my position to my deacons is, why aren't we not raising cannabis? I'll be able to bring in black males. They're able to do it legally. I'm teaching them farming.
Oh my God.
I'm helping them to enhance the ecosystem. This is the kind of conversation. So if the guy, black boy in Bankhead said, they growing weed at the church, where do I join?
Yes.
I don't know what to say.
You gotta send me that clip, man.
I don't know what to say, man. I will certainly I'll send that to you right now.
Hey, so, you know what's funny? You know what's funny?
But
I'm gonna tell you what's funny. The black man in Bankhead. Now, he is correct. In the city of Lithonia, that church is the largest. Has a lot of land in the city of Lithonia. He's correct about that. I know it. I used to live in Lithonia and Stone Mountain, so I know the area all too well. Here's the kicker: the guy, the black brother in Bankhead, would know too well and even better than Pastor Jamal Bryant to come to church just because they got weed over there. He would know. You know what? Yo, Jesus and weed don't mix. He knows that. So he wouldn't even bother going over there. Okay? Now, what he will do is he will take that weed from somebody else who goes to that church and he will smoke it, and he may call Jesus' name. But what he won't do is go to the church just because there's weed over there. Now, this is what you call diabolical Satanism. Okay? Satan is using these men like Pastor Bryant. And it's the same thing that Kamala Harris has said in her campaign. I'm losing black votes from black men, so I've written up a letter to the black male. And the black males, this is the letter I'm writing to you guys. I will give you $20 million to start your business or a website and free weed.
Free weed. I guess that tells you how they think about the black man.
Right. How demeaning is that? Where you want to bring people to your, is this how you want to bring people to your church? Christ is not in that.
No.
You know, there's a brother, what's his name? Something Junior. He has a beautiful song. And I'm gonna get his name in a second. He wrote a song called My God. God has nothing to do with that. God has nothing to do with that. God is not in that business at all. So the way you want to bring people to your church is to attract them with weed. And the young lady, that's what struck my attention the most. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Like, that was so profound. I mean, come on.
She never heard something so deep.
But you know, her face and what she said were two different things. She's in shock, like, is he really gonna do that? You know, like, that is that something that he's really gonna do? Like, he's gonna really bring men in, black males in to grow weed for cannabis at the church? Why aren't we not growing cannabis? Well, to grow cannabis in Georgia is illegal already. This is the kind of stuff that just blows my mind. So when you hear things like this, it's just laugh. But you have to also pray for these people because they still have a chance to get into God's kingdom. Correct. At the same time, you got to call sin by its right name. Jamal Bryant, that's a sin. It is a sin. It is unhealthy for people to smoke weed.
Yes, now, it is. It's a gateway for other drugs as well.
That's it. If you're telling me, Larry, well, you know what? We're doing it so we can have tea. You know, my uncle, you know the Caribbean brothers. My uncle, you know, he used to grow this stuff in New York and on the fire escape, right? His weed plants and stuff, and then, you know, on the fire escapes. I mean, you know, and two things he would do with it, because he used to repeat Revelation 14, Revelation 14, verse 16, I think it was, verse 17. You know, I'm sorry.
The herbs.
Revelation chapter 20. The Revelation chapter 21.
Yeah.
That the tree of life, the leaves are for the healing.
For the healing of the nation.
Okay?
No, they did.
So he used to quote that, and he's a Rastafarian. So he used to quote that to me all the time. And, you know, he'd be like, Larry, this is for the healing of the nation. This heals you. So what he would tell me is he would boil it and he would drink it as a tea. You know, and it does a lot of things for your body. It's good for you to drink as a tea, but it's not good for you to inhale it. But he did both. He did both inhaling and drinking as a tea. He would also use it in his foods or whatever have you, because he felt that this thing is a healer. But this is to say that Pastor Jamal Bryant is not doing that. He's not boiling it. He wants black men to come to his church. So he gets richer, and they grow it and they sell it. And who gets a profit from it? Jamal Bryant.
Wow. If you notice the congregation too, there's very few black men there. So there's a desperation to evangelize black men. I don't think this is the best method either. But also there's a lot of black women in these churches. So it's almost like 70% something women. And then
that's the reason
very
why they
few.
vote Democrat. That's the reason why they vote Democrat at a very high clip. Because I'm telling you, they vote on emotion.
Yeah, it's over. The Democrats got 92% of the women vote. Mm-hmm. The black men are saying, we out of there. We don't want nothing to do with this.
The Democrat Party has changed. It is a party for the women. And they know why. I'm going to tell you why. The reason why is because they pull on the heartstrings of the women. It's emotional. They get them on emotion. Everything is all about emotion. They get you with the
Wow.
black. They get you with the color. They get you with this. They get you with that. DEI this and that. It's all about emotion. And when you hear them speak, the first 3 words that you hear, the first 2 words, oh, no. The first 3 words you always hear from their mouth is I feel like. Boom. That just tells you it's all emotional. When you hear I feel like, that's
There
it.
we go. There
That's
we
the
go.
foundation of their argument. I feel like. That means this is your opinion that you're putting out there as facts.
Correct.
And this is your feelings.
All right. Appreciate that. Okay. Is there any word of hope you can share with somebody who might be watching this live stream and see Trump as a president and he's very concerned, not a Christian? The reason I'm saying this, let me share a news. We're just going to read the excerpt because we can't really read. It's too hard to read that because of the sad reality that's behind this. So you see it on the screen?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Minnesota dead who rented against Trump election gunned down wife, ex-girlfriend, and 2 kids in murder-suicide. That's all heartbreaking news. We don't have to go any further than that.
Bruh, I thought the one that I found where the man was the woman divorced her husband was bad enough, but this
is extreme. This is extremely radical.
come
First
on.
of all, I would like to ask, what kind of mentality will drive a man to do that? And then I would like to see what kind of word could you share with somebody who is feeling down as a result of the election and everything else.
Well, number one, where this happened is in Minnesota. Minnesota is a deep blue state. It's a blue state.
Correct.
Okay. And the sad part about it is Governor Tim Walz and Kamala Harris and the rhetoric. Man, the more you call a person, again, remember I told you they have to do something to stop this man, right? Like if you knew that a person was a real fascist and you can see dictatorial behaviors from that person, and you know that this person is going to be a destructive agent in America.
Yeah, correct. I've heard
everything you
I've heard the question, if you could stop Adolf Hitler and you knew that he was going to be Adolf Hitler, would you have ended his life as a baby? Would you kill baby Hitler? And that's kind of like the rhetoric.
That's the same thing. So in other words, we have to get rid of him. Or if I can't get rid of him, I'm gonna get rid of those who like him.
Wow.
You see? And this is where and before I give my hope, let me go ahead. I want someone to share something. I want to make sure my audio comes through, because this is part of it as well.
Okay, I think you should be able to share your screen. Let me give you access. You are co-host. Go ahead. You are good.
Okay. Let me know if can you see my screen yet?
Yeah, I'm seeing Joy Reid and somebody else. Is that correct?
Good.
Okay.
That's good. All right. I'm gonna play this, man, because it's just sad that what you showed me and what they're about to say matches up. Hear this.
Act with people who voted for this, right? If you are an LGBTQ person and you know someone in your family voted essentially against your rights, or you're a woman knowing that, this man was calling people the B word, J.D. Vance was literally calling Kamala Harris the trash and said, we're going to take out the trash. I know a lot of Black women were incredibly triggered by that. And if you then meet somebody and they voted for the people who called you trash, or if you're Puerto Rican, and someone voted that way, do you recommend, just from a psychological standpoint, being around them? We got the holidays coming up.
So I love that you asked this question, because, there is a push, I think just a societal norm, that if somebody is your family, that they are entitled to your time. And I think the answer is absolutely not. So if you are going into a situation where you have family members, where you have close friends who have voted in ways that are against you, like what you said, against your livelihood, and it's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them why, to say, I have a problem with the way that you voted because it went against my very livelihood, and I'm not going to be around you this holiday. I need to take some space for me. And I actually talk to, adults as well as advising parents for children. I mean, I think, I don't think that you should force children. I don't think you should force adults to be around people just because they're your family. I think there's a level of need to establish boundaries. And if you feel like you need to establish boundaries with people, whether they're your family or not, I think you should very much be entitled to do so. And I think it may be essential for your mental health.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talking about division.
Division. That's exactly what this is. So you talked about what can we do in terms of hope? Well, here it is. We have to understand that we are a peculiar people. And Christ did not give us the spirit of fear, but of hope,
Correct.
of love, and a sound mind. This is where it is. We've lost sound mind, logic, thinking, asking God for the Holy Spirit to give us wisdom to be able to cope. Now, if there's one thing, hate him or not, if there's one thing that I've learned from Donald Trump, is perseverance. Never giving up. Perseverance. The man is 78 years old. You would think he'd be like, I'm too old for this. But he never gave up. He persevered. Whether what you saw was real or fake, the man persevered. My point is, we're coming into a time where we have to have a faith that lasts. We have to have a faith that is strong in Christ. These people that you see doing these things, the man that killed, that murder suicide, and what Joy Reid and this other doctors saying about separating from your families, these folks don't have Jesus in their life.
No, I'm so glad you said this. While you're giving hope, I want to quickly insert another video because it's right in line with what you're saying, and I don't want to go back to it. This is so spot on what you said. So you share that video of not being able to be close to family members and so on. But listen to this one. This is a woman on YouTube, or she's on Facebook and TikTok, and this is what she's saying to women whose husband voted for Trump.
This is a PSA for any of the ladies that have been seriously considering divorcing their husband. There's a lot of big conversations happening now that we have the results of the election, one of them being no-fault divorce. That is a type of divorce that allows you to end your marriage without needing to prove that anyone is at fault. Some lawmakers are looking to abolish that, which is going to make you divorcing your husband a lot harder. So here's what that potential change could mean for you. You're going to have to prove that your husband did something wrong, which can be even more expensive, emotionally draining, and time-consuming. Legal battles over fault can keep you in an endless and very expensive fight. Removing no-fault divorce could mean higher conflict in court, which is certainly not ideal for your kids or you. Without no-fault divorce, you lose the freedom to decide when to leave your marriage. Your private decision could be left up to someone else's idea of what's right. So if you're unhappy in your marriage, now might be the time to act. Protect your right to choose what is best for you and your kids before it's taken away. Because the reasons that you want to leave your marriage are no one else's fucking business.
What do you do? All right, sorry about the F word. I wasn't expecting that one. But how do you feel about that since you're giving hope?
Again, this is where ignorance comes in. No-fault divorces only happen in certain states: California, Minnesota, Massachusetts, and I'm naming a lot of blue states, right? You can't have a no-fault divorce in the state of Georgia. You can have a one-party divorce in the state of Georgia, but you cannot have a no-fault divorce in the state of Georgia. So there are plenty states in America where you cannot have a no-fault divorce. So what she's already telling you is already disinformation, okay? Because somebody's going to think, I can just go leave my husband right now. Now, here's a sad part about what she's saying. She's saying that, women can do this, but they're forgetting that men can do it too. And what is good for the goose is good for the gander. And all you're doing is destroying and breaking up homes. And I believe these are agents of Satan working to break up families. This is it. COVID broke up a lot of families already. Politics is breaking up families already. You know, people are already breaking up families, porn and all those other things. These are breaking up families already. And people are coming out. Divorce is cheap. Divorce is already easy. I remember, you know, Alice A. Bailey, who spoke about make divorce legal and easy, so it can break up these marriages.
Correct. Didn't
Satan
she
doesn't-
write the 10 stratagem from
Yeah,
Lucifer's
that's
Trust?
Yes. That's number 9 of number 10. That's number 9 of number 10. And number 10 is to take all what she says from 1 through 9 and make the church ask the government to pass the laws. Church and state. So these things are, it's so sad, it's so egregious to hear these things. But yet we are living in these times. And I remember watching you had a sermon, a brother that preached a sermon talking about the election, and but one thing I took from what he said is, you know, the time is not tomorrow. The time is now.
Correct.
We're living in the now time. You know, you're not living, you know, the last days are coming on. No, we are living in the last days, but the last days is today. And our house, our things that we got to do, the things that we must say and work on has to happen now. The changes has to happen now.
Wow.
And when we look at this thing, man, I mean, God is asking us to watch and to pray. Now, I know you want to touch on 2025, and I'm going to touch on it for a little bit, real quick. We are so focused, so zeroed focus, as I would say, Present Truth folks, Present Truth, Sabbath, Seventh-day Adventists.
Yep.
We are so laser focused on the Sunday law. You know, there was a gentleman in the New Jerusalem that was preaching the Sunday law every day. He was there every day. Sister White says he was screaming the dirge, the fall of Jerusalem, which is equivalent to the Sunday law, right? The crisis, mark of the beast crisis. He preached that every single day. You would think the man that was preaching it would have ran to the hills and to the mountains. When you read Great Controversy, chapter 1, you will find that man died in Jerusalem. He never made it out.
I call that the Jehu complex.
It is a Jehu complex.
you destroy.
Yeah,
you destroy the idols, and at the end, you worship them. At the end, I mean, it's crazy.
At the end,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Many of us are laser focused on Sunday law, and we're laser focused on every president that comes in that will pass a Sunday law. Okay, so this one is a little bit tricky because this one has Donald Trump's. It doesn't have his name on it anywhere, but because there are folks who worked with him in his last administration, they wrote pieces of this 2025. Right? It's a think tank group that comes together that I've been following for a long time, the Heritage Foundation. They wrote the foundations of what we believe will enact, you know, soon enough, a Sunday law. Now, when I read through this thing here, I see a lot of things that, you know, whether the Democrat or the Republican that came into power, they will pass some of these policies because some of these policies are bipartisan policies, okay? There are some of them that's very far right, and there are some of them that are, you know, center right, and there's some of them that are center, and there's some of them that, you know, the left can also dibble dabble with as well. But when it comes to the one page that talks about the Sabbath, now we know the evangelicals are going to write this thing. They're going to put this in here. We know that for certain, and they did. We can see that there's an interplay with climate change as well in that document, okay? Because there are those evangelicals that believe in the climate change issue, right? And they also believe in the ecumenical movement that is subversive in this in the Laudato Si document. So both documents are kind of polar to each other, but at the same time, the same as each other. Okay, does that make sense?
Sure.
One is written from a Protestant or apostate Protestant evangelical standpoint, and the other, the Laudato Si, is written from a Catholic standpoint. But they all interchange words the same, right? And they all point to one direction. That direction is full control of America by Rome. That's the direction it's pointing to. So we know that prophecy must be fulfilled. Here is the deal, though. The deal has to happen where the American people and the world at large is asking for a Sunday law.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you made that turn. So an event strong enough has to precipitate that, right? It can't happen on its own.
Yes.
It's not gonna just like, okay, we're gonna pick up and take on this and implement that in the government. You don't see it. So there has to be a strong enough event that will bring America to its knees, where there will be a push toward God. So
there you go.
That is what I think we need to look out for, rather than every single individual that comes into politics and want to claim and start making a bunch of outcry. I think there has to be a difference.
Yes. The separation here is, we talked about this earlier in our conversation. There is a balance of power, right, within the three levels of our the branches of our government. Okay, executive, judicial, and legislation. Okay, all three branches have to weigh in on a law, because for a law to pass, not an executive order. An executive order, like I stated before, a president can only run an executive order during his term of office. And, oh, by the way, that executive order can be struck down by the highest court of the nation, the Supreme Court, okay? But laws, once a law is passed, it has to go through three levels of the branches of America, right? The legislation makes the law. Whether it's Congress or the Senate, both of them have to pass that law between each other for it to go through and say, yes, this law is being passed now. Once the law is enacted, then it gets to the executive branch. The executive branch, the president, then signs that off. Then it has to go through Supreme Court. The Supreme Court then justifies it as a law by codifying it, okay? Once it's codified, then it's law of the land. What we know of, and Sister White has been speaking of, is a Sunday law, a national law that Sunday reverence will take place in America. How would that go down? It's not just going to go down by a written document by a think tank, i.e. Heritage Foundation, then Donald Trump getting into power, then him saying that I want a law to be passed. The people's not asking for it. The Constitution still stands against it.
Correct.
The Constitution has to be stripped away in order for this to be a thing. Because now you're saying that there's no freedom of religion. So the Constitution has to be stripped from its ground. It has to be taken away. Okay, in order for this to be in full-fledged practiced. All right. Now it can happen just like that. It can happen during Trump's his administration. We don't know that. We don't know that. But what I do know is that there are many people besides myself who is witnessing to Donald Trump. Many Seventh-day Adventists besides myself who is witnessing to Donald Trump, praying for this man. And I believe that God can do a mighty work through that man.
This is a huge statement you just made here, because there's a lot of, and what they call it, Trump derangement syndrome, right? TDS.
Yeah.
Some people really believe Trump is the devil, he's the worst thing that ever exists. I don't personally believe that. I'll be honest with you. I see his heart. I really do. I see his flaws and his sins, and I see his rhetoric, but I also see his heart. And I will give him a lot of credit, because under his presidency, from 2006 to 2020, America was in a much better condition. You can't take that away from him. These are facts. It's written in history. You can't take that away. Now, the concern of a lot of people, like you're talking about the National Sunday Law, could it be also true? Trump could be manipulated unknowingly.
Yes, he could be, and he could be manipulated by the church itself. You know, he could be. I'm not leaving any of that. That's why I say it can happen under his administration.
Correct.
I'm not leaving any of that. You know, I'm leaving it all open. The mere fact, the point of the matter is that we though have to be prepared. We have to be ready.
Yeah.
But if all we focusing on is Donald Trump, then we too are Trump. We're too deranged. We too have TDS. Get this.
I agree.
You know, there's something called Trumpanol.
Trumpanol.
Right? Yeah. For the folks that have TDS, that suffer with TDS, there is that, and I want to share something with you that I saw last night that I literally fell out laughing. I could not stop the laughing, and let me go ahead. I'm gonna share this with you, my brother.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
this is good.
I just found it to be very. I think that they're trolling folks, but I said, you know what? I need to go and I hope I held this thing up because let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second here. I played it last night. Today's Friday, right?
Correct.
Okay, Thursday, yesterday. All right, there it is. And give me a second here, man.
No problem. Take your time. Because I do have a few more clips too that I'm going to share with you.
Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show it to you right now.
Okay.
All right, let me get this. I don't like having commercials or anything like that, but let me swing this to the other side of my screen and share it.
Okay. All right, I see it.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Just this might have you laughing, but I found it very funny. Oh, hold on.
You don't have sound. Oh, there we go.
We understand your pain, and we're here to help. Our expert team of cryogenic care providers can cryogenically freeze you until the Trump presidency has ended. No more crying, no more anxiety attacks, just blissful sleep until Trump is gone. When you awaken from your slumber, we'll even have a party ready and waiting for you. It will be like his presidency never even happened. It was all just a bad dream. As an added bonus, you can choose the Vance add-on package. We'll extend your sleep for an additional 4 years at a 50% discount in the event J.D. Vance wins the next presidential election. Everything will be okay. We're here to take care of you in your time of need. So remember, don't cry, cryo.
Wow. I got the satire.
Oh, please tell me it's over. Wait, something isn't right.
This is your captain, Elon Musk. I want to be the first one to welcome you to Mars. Sorry, Donald Trump Jr. was just elected president, and he deported all Don't Cry Cryo customers to Mars.
Wow. So it's not just JD Vance you need to worry about.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
man.
that's good. That's good.
You,
that's
man.
good. I need this. Can you send this to me, please? Send this to me. That's good. I love stuff like that. Wow.
This is exactly where we are in this whole thing, man. That we are at a point where we just cannot cope.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot cope.
Yeah.
And people are losing their lives. They're taking their lives and taking the lives of others, leaving their families. I mean, Joy Reid and this lady's talking about leaving your. I mean, if folks, PSA, I did not vote. My wife did not vote. We don't vote. But I want to show the scenario. If I voted for Donald Trump and my wife voted for Kamala Harris, my wife is telling me, get out the house.
That's not.
Get out the house. Go get a hotel. Get out the house.
That's crazy.
What?
That's
Who's
crazy.
doing that?
Yeah, yeah. In the name of politics, we are dividing among, even families. That's just that rhetoric is too much. I personally can't stand it. I will never hate you to that degree, even if I don't
Yeah.
like your kind. I wouldn't hate you
Yeah.
to the point where we're separating from each other. So, yeah, I find that to be extreme as well. So,
It's just so extreme to the point where they have to make the satire. They have to make it
oh
because
yeah, it's
people are
perfect.
going extreme.
Yeah, it's perfect. So,
They're going extreme.
yeah. So going a little bit deeper into definitely Project 2025, and you already explained a whole bunch of similar what I was thinking as well, is the extreme reaction. For example, this is Heritage Foundation. So they put a satire video together of the media completely melting down over Project 2025. And they're pretty much kind of laughing at the media because the media is doing something that they make it look like this is the worst thing that ever happened. But what I found in history, every transitional president and administration tend to do stuff like this. They have recommendations to their next president. Liberals do it, Democrats do it, Republicans. It's not a new thing. Independents do it. So it just so happens because Trump's name is behind it. And anything, I notice everything that is connected to Trump is always bad. I don't know why. I think this is what they want us to believe. I don't personally believe that. I think there's some things that are bad, but not everything is bad. So anyway, this is coming from them.
We begin tonight with a terrifying concept.
A frightening article.
They're calling it Project 2025.
Incredibly important reporting people need to pay attention to.
This plan that they want to put in place if the Republican Party wins the presidency upon the inauguration.
According to the New York Times, those plans include bringing independent agencies under direct presidential control.
It's kind of being pitched under the guise of dismantling the administrative state.
They say they would plan to do this with any Republican president.
It's about deregulation. It's about deconstructing the administrative state.
There's a network of conservative groups who are backing this effort, like the Heritage Foundation.
Take this very seriously. Don't think this is a joke.
It is incredibly alarming.
Frightening development.
You don't have to be a civics dork to know that you don't want that.
We've never seen anything like this in American history.
All right. So that's one. I do have another thing to share with you, and this was posted by what's his name? His name is James Bowen. James Bowen posted this on his Facebook page, and he kind of clipped a number of comments from on Twitter. Benny Johnson, conservative political pundit, says, "It is my duty, it is my honor to inform you that Project 2025 was real all the whole time." And this was posted after Trump won the presidency. So this is both French. So we can admit now that we are going to implement Project 2025. This is Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire. Now, the election is over. I think we can finally say, yay. Actually, Project 2025 is the agenda, LOL. So how do you feel about these responses? Or do you see this as a big joke from your perspective?
No, I wouldn't take this as a joke. Because I do know that in Project 2025, there is a deregulatory movement. And that's what the DOGE is set up for. The DOGE is set up for that. Department of Government Efficiency, that's a deregulatory movement, okay? They're there to...
So you're talking about the one that Elon Musk has been assigned to with Vivek Ramaswamy? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's why I said there are elements of Project 2025 that will be used by this administration. Because when you deregulate, that's what brings the cost of our spending, our government spending down, right? So that's part of it. But that does not have to be in Project 2025. Republicans historically believe in smaller government. So less regulation, less spending. So that's already there, okay? A lot of what they're saying in Project 2025 are really conservative thinking, okay? Like I said, the biggest parts are getting rid of, like, you know, what they're going after. Education, which is the Board of Education. Now, the Board of Education was set up for plenty other reasons besides what we know today as the Board of Education. The Board of Education was not a good thing, right, when it was set up. And this is the history that people have to understand about the Board of Education. It was not set up for blacks to get into school or anything like that. It was set up for the federal government to have full control. This was set up during the Roosevelt time, full control over the students in the homes, where parents were forced to make sure that their children were in school. This was a dictatorial movement by the government, by the federal government. So this is part of the Project 2025 to get rid of the Department of Education. Okay, now it's written in Project 2025, but that was Donald Trump's plan in 2016. That's what he wanted to do in 2016, is get rid of the Department of Education. Many other presidents, George Bush the first, many of them, they wanted to get rid of the Department of Education a long time ago, but they didn't have the power to do so, right? So a lot of the conservative thinking that was done in the past is now written in Project 2025, and they will implement probably a third of those policies from the Project 2025. Now, when it comes to the Sunday law, again, you cannot do that arbitrarily. You cannot unilaterally do that by yourself. Donald Trump doesn't have that power. And he cannot go to Congress and say, write a law for Sunday worship. Can't do that either. Okay? The reason is because checks and balance will happen. And you're going against the Constitution. And the people will speak. And, oh, by the way, if you want votes, you would not do that if you want a second term. Now, he cannot get a second term, but he sure can get a second term through J.D. Vance. You see? So you want to make sure you keep your power. If you go against what the people want, you will not have power, i.e. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They went against what the people wanted. Now they're going home. Kamala Harris destroyed her career. Her political career is over. Okay? Joe Biden, his political career ended in July.
She might get a job with The Views. You never know how that go.
That's not a political thing.
I know.
But again, you're right. She definitely will get a job at MSNBC. Seeing that what you showed me, the videos you showed me just a second ago, was all MSNBC. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see her getting over there and getting a job there. But the truth of the matter is, it just cannot. You have to think logically, and you have to also think spiritually. You have to go, Lord, show us where this thing will go in time, and look at how things are being played out, and also understand history and understand civics, because you got to understand how the three branches of our government work. Once that goes away, once we have an executive branch by itself, and when I say executive branch, he controls everything, and there is, he's the unilateral person. Once that happens, then we have a problem. I think what people are looking at and what people are not looking at is what happened in September. This is what I want people to focus on. In September, the UN and the WHO got together and they passed a motion, okay, for the WHO to take over the to have unilateral sovereignty over America in case of disasters and pandemics and any other issue where a national what's that term I'm looking for when there's like a hurricane and stuff like that, and they pass a state of emergency.
State of emergency. Okay.
Yes, a national state of emergency, just like what we had during COVID.
Correct.
Once we have a national state of emergency, the government has full 100% power over the citizens, okay? But now, with this motion that's been passed in the UN takes over. The UN has that power, you see? And now, the one who is in control of the UN is Rome. How is it control of the UN? Because right now, the secretary of the secretary of the UN, the one who's in power at the United Nations, is a Roman Catholic.
Oh boy.
Okay, so these are the things that we really need to focus on, because we're so focused on Donald Trump that if anything happens, and I believe there will be some kind of state of emergency in his administration, during his administration, I believe if he doesn't get rid of the WHO, if he doesn't defund them and get rid of them and pull us out of the climate accord, then we have much of a more of a problem. It's not Donald Trump. It's the Pope of Rome. Because once America, who's in bed with the United Nations, once that happens, then all nations are under one jurisdiction, and that jurisdiction is owned by Rome. So that's what I'm looking at. More so than just a Project 2025, and because a national Sunday law could be passed during this time. If it's a climate issue that they drop on as a national emergency, and a state of emergency because of it's national, and it's a climate issue. Oh, guaranteed there'll be a climate lockdown, and guaranteed there could be climate laws that will be passed, and these climate laws can be passed by the United Nations without Congress.
Wow. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head here. Again, it goes back to the signs, to the events that needs to take place in order for this law to be enforced. But we are told that the final movements will be rapid ones, right? We understand certain things are being put in place to bring about that change. And there's no doubt in my mind that it's happening much faster than we realize. I believe that. So things are definitely cooking up. So I do have one more thing. There's been a discussion lately about and that's after the presidency. There's been a lot of discussion on the internet and among ministers for a Sunday blue law to be reinforced. That's another thing. So you can see another connection here with the Trump presidency. Some ministers are feeling like maybe this is time to enforce these type of laws back into the Constitution, into the country once again. Let's take a listen.
How about protecting our communities? How many of you are familiar with the blue laws? I believe blue laws are, I don't know if we have those too much any longer, but several years ago, there was a case brought before the Supreme Court about doing away with these blue laws. And blue laws had to do with certain things you could not sell on a Sunday, the first day of the week, such as liquor and beer and other things like that. And I believe today, I don't know about South Carolina, and this could have changed in Tennessee, but just a few years ago, it may still be the same day, you cannot sell liquor at all on Sunday, and you have to wait till 10 o'clock in the morning to sell beer. I don't know if that's the same here or not. But back in 1961, there was a case brought before the Supreme Court on behalf of states of Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Massachusetts, trying to overthrow these things. And I want you to notice what the justices acknowledged. They were able to overthrow these laws, but in doing this, the justices acknowledged something. They said this. It says, the justices acknowledged that the original purpose of the Sunday closing laws was religious in nature. These are from people sitting on a legal bench. We recognize the source of this as religious in nature. It says there is no dispute that the original laws, which dealt with Sunday labor, were motivated by religious forces. How did that happen? People brought in the knowledge of God, didn't they? People taught others what God expected. We know that drunkards will not inherit the kingdom of God. That's what it says there in the book of 1 Corinthians. We're told to be sober, and whoever is led away by strong drink is not wise. And so that teaching led to those blue laws. And I believe it's a lack of reminding people that those laws have been or are in the process of being.
Something else? I'm coming. I'll call you. Oh.
No, I'm playing.
Is it over?
Yeah, it's over. 1 second. All right. So I want to get your thought on that.
He kind of made it clear that, some states still have Sunday blue laws. There are blue laws in Georgia, there are blue laws in Tennessee, there are blue laws in South Carolina, West Virginia. So, you know, the mere fact that he's trying to enforce another blue or Sunday law, it's already enforced in many places. But I see where he's coming from. I mean, what he's trying to say is that, you know, they want to protect Sunday goers. They want to protect Sunday. That's
Wow.
nothing new. That's nothing new at all. You know, and many of these people don't realize that they're helping the very church that they try to protest against. That's the reason why just recently many of them are all hanging out. There was a big Eucharist fest with the Catholic Church and the evangelicals not too long ago, where they were all taking the Eucharist.
Yeah.
Evangelical, alike. So Catholics and the evangelicals alike. So, you know, they don't see the danger that they're helping to bring in.
Correct.
But, yeah, we know that these laws are being asked for, and that's what I'm saying. It has to take shape. It's not just. A lot of people think that this is going to be a religious thing. No, it's a social. It's going to be more of a social thing than a religious thing. It's going to have religious. It's going to have religious epithets in it. It's going to have religious pieces inside of it, but it's going to be given as a social type, you know, law.
Correct.
And climate change is a social issue. It's not a religious issue.
Yeah. I can see it. I can see it being combined both socially and, like you said, and religiously as well. For it to, because there's a lot of people who are not spiritual. How do you get these individuals to fall on board? So whatever it is, it has to work for everybody. And then when it comes with teeth, you know, just like happened during the mandate with the jab, many people who did not want to take it, but when they say you're gonna lose your job, right? You cannot buy and sell. A lot of people just compromised, so they went along with it because of the pressure. So I can see that aspect of it as well. So, but Donald Trump said, and again, he said very clearly, I have nothing to do. He says this, I have nothing to do with and know nothing about Project 2025, he says. The fact that I do is merely disinformation put out by the radical left. Thugs, don't believe them. These are his words. He went on.
Those are his words, but, you know, I mean, that's just, he wants to separate himself from Project 2025. I get it. But Ben Carson wrote, and I just found it out last week because I'm like, how did I miss that? I must have just not even looked about it. But when I went back and looked again, I was like, oh, snap, Ben Carson's name is right here. And Ben Carson is a good friend of Donald Trump.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
this is huge.
So, so for him to say that, nah.
It's one thing.
Yeah, he's stretching the lie. That's all I'm going to say about that. He's stretching the lie.
Yeah, I mean, he's denied it several times.
Let me ask you about Project 2025. So you've publicly said that you don't have any direct connection to Project
Nothing.
20.
I know nothing about it. And they know that too. Democrats know that. And I purposely haven't read it because I want to say to you, I have no idea what it's all about. It's easier.
Can you pause
I
for a
read
second?
it.
All right. You see the play on words right there? He would know nothing about it because he has not read it. You see the play on words? So if you haven't read it, you don't know nothing about it. You don't know anything. You haven't read it yet. It's like saying, hey man, have you read the book Great Controversy? No. I don't know anything about the book Great Controversy. But I know about a book Great Controversy though. I've heard about the book, right? I go to the same church the woman that wrote it. Yeah, I did. She went to the Seventh-day Adventist church. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I've opened the book and read the book. So I don't know anything about the book. So that's what he's doing. But he knows about Project 2025.
Okay.
You see the play on so he knows. He also knows the authors that put it together. He also knows the think tank that brought it out. He knows who they are. He knows what they're about. He does. Now, his name is not on it.
Yeah, because his agenda is Agenda 47. That's the one he goes by.
That's his Agenda 47 is what he goes by. But again, like I said, there are a lot of policies written in Project 2025 that they will implement because it's a conservative
It's written by conservative, and these are the conservative agendas.
Correct. Yeah, I've heard somebody explain. It's like a menu. You know, you go to the restaurant. You can't eat everything on the menu, but you can certainly you can take some things that you think would best fit. You know, so I totally understand that. So.
No idea what it's all about. It's easier than saying I read it and all of the things. No, I purposely haven't read it, and I've heard about it. I've heard about things that are in there that I don't like, and there's some things in there that everybody would like, but there are things that
what did he say again?
I don't like at all. There's some things in there that everybody would like.
No, go back again. Go back a little bit.
About it, I've heard about things that are in there that I don't like, and there's some things in there that everybody would like.
Well, I mean, there's truth to that. I mean, if you read portion of Project 25, you're like, okay, there's some things I do agree with.
It's
but I wonder if you never read it. It's interesting that he said that remark. You know.
There you go. Okay, and you notice he says there's some things in there that I don't like, and there's some things in there that everybody likes. But what he missed is what he jumped over was there's some things in there that I do like. So so the opposite has to be true. If there's some things in there that you don't like, the opposite has to be there's some things in there that I do like, and that everybody likes. You see? So what he did say was that what he heard of some things in there that I don't like. I heard. So somebody must have read it to you.
Wow.
You see, so again, I listen to how it's being. I listen to words. I listen to how the words are being said, and you got to dissect these things, man.
Yeah, you pick up on that.
Dissect these things.
Good job.
These things. Yeah.
You caught that. All right, let's keep listening.
But there are things that I don't like at all, and I think it's unfortunate that they put it out. But it doesn't mean anything because it has nothing to do with me. Project 25 has absolutely nothing to do with me.
Let me ask you about Project 2025.
So let's take a look at let's for all intents and purposes, let's say the Sabbath piece, he doesn't like it. Right? That everybody worships on Sunday because he may feel, that goes against the Constitution. Right? And that might not be good for our Constitution. So maybe in there, he's like, what? I don't like that. Right? Who's to say? Maybe he doesn't like it. Maybe he just leaves that alone. Right? So those are the things that we have to, and we have an opportunity to witness to Donald Trump. Donald Trump owns a social media site called Truth Social.
Correct.
Hey, he's on there. And people talk to him. He replies back. He likes people's posts and this, that, and the third is his stuff. He literally looks at posts. So it's our opportunity to go on there.
And witness.
Be a witness. Stop doing the whole, well, he's an evil man. He's orange and, he's going to pass the Sunday law and this, that, and the third and blah, 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 blah. No. Stop doing that. God has given us an opportunity to witness to this man. The one thing I always say to people is, it will be sad for this man to be in heaven by the legs of Jesus while we're outside.
Wow.
It'll be a very sad situation because all we're doing is ridicule after ridicule after ridicule, condemnation after condemnation, judgment after judgment after judgment. That's all we're doing. But instead of saying, you know what, Lord, show me a way to get to this man. He is the only president that I know that has been accessible to the people.
Sorry. All right, go ahead. That's another video I'm going to.
Yeah. He's the only one that is actually accessible to the people.
Yeah.
You're the president I know. So if you have access to him, witness to him. Correct. Send some Bible verses. Send some, hey, President Trump, my name is such and such. I wanted to give you a daily devotion for the day. Boom.
He says he's a Christian. He says he's a Christian. He says he believes in God.
He's a Christian, but one thing I know about Christians, not all Christians are Christians, and not, it's the same thing. Not all kinfolks, not all skin folk is kinfolk, right? So that's what he's saying. But the point of the matter is, listen, one day it might be that one quote from Sister White or that one Bible verse that he gets before he closes his eyes.
Yeah.
And where he goes, you know what, Lord? This is of truth. You are the King of Kings and Lord of Lords.
Wow.
Right? That'd be the one thing. So we have to be able to continue to spread the gospel to the highest person in the world. We have the opportunity to do so.
Wow. Appreciate that, man. This is good. This is good. So this is the last video I would like to share with you, and then we're gonna get a closing remark. I may not agree with Trump on many issues, but I think Trump is being used by God for a purpose. This much I know. But I also think he can also be abused. For example, when you think about King Saul, God selected King Saul. God wanted to use King Saul in a positive way, but King Saul went a different direction. So being chosen by God, being used by God doesn't always mean you're always going to do what God says. You can frustrate God's plan. You have that ability to do it. So so that's kind of where I feel. And just like you're saying, I pray for men like this. I don't condemn Donald Trump because I live in a country where Trump is the president. And I have families here. I have children here. So it is foolish to condemn the man who has the ability to influence your life by the stroke of a pen. You should spend more time praying for that man. That's where I stand when it comes to this. So he is waging war against the LGBTQ people, and he mean business by it. But he's not waging war in a way that you might think. He's simply doing is dialing things back, bringing things back to the way they used to be. That's what I see him doing. But some people feel like this is the end of the world. I don't personally believe that. But anyway, let's hear what he's saying.
Can't be no end of the world. He didn't make the world to end the world, so let's keep moving.
Good point. All right, let's listen.
Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parents' consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much.
Yep.
This is huge. So I want to get your final thought on that video. And then my last question will be, what does things look like prophetically in a positive way toward a Trump presidency or negatively in a Trump presidency? And that will be my final two questions. So first of all, what is your perspective on that?
On that video?
Yes.
So, there could be seen some elements of dictatorship in that video, because he is what the other side will see is not the fact that he's looking to bring back the right things, right? But that in America you have all different types of people, shades of people, and folks who created their own genders and who want to do their own thing. So they would think that, this is a dictatorship because he is looking to, again, pass laws. You see what he says? I will ask Congress to pass a bill, to create a bill that would stop these things, right? X, Y, and Z. So in order for it, one thing he says he's going to do in the short term is an executive order. But in the long term, it has to be a law, right? So that's something to think about there. Because if there's to be a Sunday law, can a president put together an executive order? Yes, he can, right? But that executive order could be struck down by the Supreme Court based upon our Constitution. So if it's not constitutionally correct, it can be struck down, all right? A lot of that happened with Biden. Biden tried to pay for school loans and this, that, and the third, and had to go to the Supreme Court, says, no, that's against our Constitution. Strike it down, right? So a lot of times you can see those elements being played out. Now, with this video in regards to gender and teaching our children foolishness, in the short term, what he's saying, while they're trying to shut down this whole board of education, what he's saying is that the schools are not teaching math, science, and the regular types of education, they will get penalized, and by penalizing, they'll be losing funding for their school because the school is federally owned and it's under his jurisdiction. That's the first thing we have to understand. The school is federally owned by the government and is under his jurisdiction. Until the Board of Education is removed and is being brought back to the states, it's away from the federal government. The state now makes a decision on what the school, and the state as well as the parents now have the voice as to what the school should look like. Okay? So this is what you're going to see in a Trump administration. I personally agree with it, in part, that we need to have better school system, better food in our healthier foods in our schools. Go back to teaching arithmetic, math, and science, and this, that, and the third. Let's not put prayer back in school. Let's not do that. Let's not, because, well, again, by doing so, it does tend to make the religious part then have power over the civil. And once that happens, once the church sits on top of the government, then we have a problem. So we have to be able to be balanced in that way where we're like, you know what, Lord, let's not put ourselves in a position where, just like the Jews of old was dictating to Pontius Pilate, if you don't crucify him, you're no friend of Caesar. We don't want to be like, we don't want to be that person or that people. Your last two questions, if I can remember them.
Yeah. How do things look like under a Trump presidency positively? How do things look like under a Trump presidency negatively?
That's a very good question. I believe, and I was talking to Jamal Grant about this, and we were grappling on this thing here. Sister White says that there will be a time of respite, a small period of respite, that we can spread the third angel's message. Because after that, we'll be spreading the third angel's message during a time of crisis. So I'm thinking that this could be it in my mind. In my mind, I'm like, you know what? This could be that small time before the great Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, great time of trouble that the world has never seen since there's a world. So I believe that this can be it right here. Negatively, just by what he did here and what he was saying in terms of him passing an executive order, for the school system and education, he can pass an executive order for Sunday law. And any of the presidents could have done so. Any of the presidents could have done so. Of course, from a social standpoint, he's not calling cops and sending the military after black people. Black people don't listen to that nonsense. That's a bunch of nonsense. It's foolishness. The world going to be okay. He did not create the world for him to destroy the world. Joe Biden destroyed a lot of America's economy, destroyed a lot of America's our assets as well as our resources. You can't even plant things in your garden today without Monsanto spraying stuff in the air and it lands on your soil and all that. It's all destructive. It's all destructive at this point. So we have to come to a point where, yes, he's going to be the president. What are we going to do? What we're supposed to do? 1, watch, pray. 2, get closer to Christ, build a relationship with Jesus. 3, we're supposed to go out and spread the gospel like peanut butter and jelly on a very good sandwich, very good bread, okay? And that's our job. Worship God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, right? That is our duty.
Wow. Brother Larry, this was amazing.
For sure, my brother.
Appreciate you for that. I like it. I think somebody made a remark where a number of people, some people are very judgmental. They're talking about people wearing hats on a live stream. That means you're not a Seventh-day Adventist. I've asked somebody before, I said, can you give me one quote from the Spirit of Prophecy that says wearing hats is against the law of God? They never came up with it. I said, when did Ellen White say, when did she ever say, what does the Bible say? An Adventist wearing a hat is not Christian. Where did you get that from? You are a lunatic. You are a religious fanatic. Stop listening to these offshoots. I'm telling you, they are brainwashing you. You can't even you taking the dress reform to another extreme. You need to stop. Anyway, it's one thing we're preaching in the church. It's one thing you on a pulpit. But for you to be in the comfort of your home wearing your hat and chilling, you telling me that is a violation to God's law, you are a religious radical. That's all you are.
What it is just that they're not paying attention to the subject. And
yeah, we focus on the subject.
They're looking for fault, and these are fault finders.
Oh yeah, fault finding mentality. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're just all about fault finding, then whatever. I don't. Listen to me. The stripes on my back that I get from, and I'm sure you get it too.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, you have to.
You can tell.
I
don't listen.
Find them comical, so I don't listen. I just find it comical.
I laugh hard. So,
there's some people that met me for the first time in person, and some of them had their own thoughts about me while watching a live or whatever, and they meet me in person. It's like, oh, you're different.
You're very human.
Yeah.
What were you expecting?
You're down to earth. Well, I wasn't up in Mars somewhere. I wasn't anywhere else but here. So.
Yeah. Same thing with me. I've been. I went to my daughter's school, and they were like, "You, the Advent Media guy," It's like I'm wearing my shorts. I'm all chill, laid back. Can have an honest conversation with you. I'm not a religious fanatic and a radical. You can't talk to me about anything. We're talking about politics right now. How many ministries can sit down and have an honest opinion about politics and not be judgmental, and respect each other in a conversation, even though we might have some things we agree and disagree about?
Right.
And yet,
that's the thing.
and yet
about
we
it.
didn't lose our religion, did we?
Nah, man. You know something, Pastor? That's the thing about it. The thing is that I wish people could just be people.
Be real.
Be practical. Okay? Be reasonable. The Bible says you ought to be. Come, let us reason together.
Yeah.
We have to be reasonable, practical people. We live in this world. We don't have to be like the world or of the world, but we live in this world.
Yes.
And we see things and we know things and we are experiencing things.
Correct.
And for us to shut down and just think that, oh, the only thing we could talk about is Revelation chapter 13 and Sunday laws, then we are not smart, intelligent people.
We can't hold a
because
conversation
we're
about
one-track minded.
Yes, correct. That is a problem. And that's the reason why I opened my channel for different school of thoughts to come in.
Yes.
And influence me and my audience, because I understand the world is much bigger than what we think. And I'm really appreciative of what you just did today. Just that's that education you just gave us on the law and how the principles and the different branches of government and how it operates. And it's like when I hear the hysteria and I hear the fanaticism, I'm like, yo, you cry Sunday Lord at every little event you see, every little article that comes out, you cry. I'm like, I do understand it is coming. I have no doubt in my mind. But the way we're interpreting these prophecies is creating radicals. And not only that, but we are destroying confidence in our message. Because when it doesn't happen, guess what happens next time when you speak? They shut you down.
Shut you down.
You don't have a message.
The message.
Yeah, the power of the message
is diminished. The power of the message is diminished. We are to watch and pray and to share, right?
Yeah.
But what we're really supposed to be sharing is the character of Christ.
Correct.
In all of this, what's the character of Christ that we're supposed to have? We're supposed to have that, right? We're supposed to be able to talk about things where, we are asking for redemption from sin.
Correct.
Right? Reformation, things of that nature. But yes, we know the Sunday law is coming. We're watching for it, but we're also praying about it. And Sister White says we are to ask also for the love of souls.
Correct.
That God will extend the time.
Exactly.
For the love of souls.
Yes. For the loves of
souls.
soul.
Like, I'm ready for the Sunday law.
Hold, we are told.
Right.
Hold to the winds of strife.
Don't be a Peter.
Let me get my family ready, get my children ready. And I tell people another thing too. If you think Project 2025 and National Sunday Law is going to make you a Christian, you are sadly mistaken. And if the love of Jesus, if the cross of Christ if the words that are found in this book are not good enough for you, let me tell you something. Sunday law is not going to get you ready. Now, it might give you a sense of urgency and pushes you, but what we need today is the Lord. We need the love of Christ. We need to be filled with the Holy Spirit. We need a heart that is surrendered to his will. And whenever the time comes for persecution to take place, for the mark to be enforced, so be it, because you are already wrapped up in the love of Jesus. You have no need to fear. And I think if God's people will go back to the basic, go back to mere Christianity and go back and understand the basic things, go read Steps to Christ, that will get you ready for what's coming. And all the other stuff we are hearing from a lot of people, I'm like, I don't get engaged in that. I just share it where it fits, and I focus on the Lord, and I promote the truth. I defend and fight against the error as much as I can. But you don't see me here being hysterical, trying to drive people crazy. Not me.
That's a waste. That's a waste of your energy, brother.
Yeah.
I've heard that kind of energy, man. I'm in my midlife crisis, and my energy is not the same as it was when I was 20.
Yeah.
I gotta
preserve. I've heard a really sad story, and unfortunately, not enough people speaks about this. It was an individual that was attending one of our one of those offshoot churches. And they became radicals, and to the point where the individual went and murdered their two children, and ended her own life.
That's an offshoot SDA?
Yeah, that's an offshoot SDA church that was preaching a lot of Sunday law crisis coming, and that's crazy. It's crazy that nobody has ever heard this. I'm like, that happened in Florida. That was wow. Yeah, and they mentioned the church in Florida that happened. And they tell you which church it is. This is something this is a very popular YouTube church, and that is very well known. That woman killed herself because she was consistently listening to the individual, telling them the end of the time is here, doomsday, doomsday, final events, Jesus is coming, you are going to die. You better, and she eventually took herself out, she took her children out. This is what could happen. When we radicalize the message, this happens.
We have a lot of radicals that come online and try to throw their radical behavior around, but I like to pray about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna find the article and I'm gonna share it with you guys. It's still there. I'm gonna find it and share it because it's not something I'm making up. But unfortunately, it gets covered up because it's like the name that mentioned in there is a respectable name, and nobody wants to talk about that individual. And I'm like, why don't we talk about that? What led to this drastic change? Anyway, much more could be said. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, bro.
It's pretty sad.
Well,
Larry, once again, God bless you. Can we close with a word of prayer?
Sure.
I know it's been a long day. It's been a good day. All right, let us pray.
Let me take my hat off for the people who really want to see my head.
Yeah. They don't know that we need to get a haircut before the Sabbath gets here. They have no idea. We're trying to cover up. Trying to cover up what's going on up there. Anyway.
Try to save their lives.
Yeah.
Right,
go ahead. Will you pray?
Yes, for sure. Our Father which art in heaven, Lord, we are so grateful and so thankful. We're thankful for you allowing us to have these platforms where people that we would not be able to reach are reachable. People that we're not able to teach are teachable. Father God, you are able to now reach those where your Holy Spirit, where it could not be breached, are now breachable. And we're grateful for that. We ask that you will continue to give us this day our daily bread, fresh bread baked from heaven's bakery, where we can eat of your body, we can drink of your blood, and by doing so we connect closer to you. Thank you so much for the preparation of the Sabbath. Thank you for those that joined us this afternoon. Continue to bless my brother's podcast and his ministry and his platform that you've given him. Bless it. Let it grow so others in the world can find it and hear ye the truth. Forgive us for where we have fallen short, for the words that we have said that was not right. Clean our tongues, our hearts, our minds, and our hands. Take away the iniquity and the transgressions and the sins that so easily beset us. Until that day come, Lord, we ask that you will wash us with your blood. Send down your latter rain upon us, Lord, and seal us in your holy word, we ask. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, amen, and amen. Thank you, Brother Larry.
Oh, yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah, man, we'll see each other.
Definitely, we'll stay in touch.
Stay in touch, my brother. Appreciate the time, man.
All right, God bless you, my friend. All right, thank you.
For sure. Bye-bye.
All right.